Alright guys, welcome back to another Omnia video where we're going to be talking about Papalymo. Now that he has dropped on both the global and the JP side, and since I have been able to get my hands on his kit on both versions, kind of just messing around with different team comps with Papalymo, whether it be using somebody else's force time as the main force time, or even working around Papalymo's FR. Like, I've been doing a good amount of runs to kind of get an idea as to how I honestly feel about Papalymo. Now in this video I will be talking about whether or not you should pull for Papalymo's FR MBT in the current banners that are out right now. But before we get into that, I at least want to go over the rework that he did receive. I do want to briefly talk about his FR and his BT, and then I'm pretty much like it's gonna be my usual setup of after going over the reworks and any new things for a new character, then we jump into whether or not you should pull with any additional information, just opinions overall on what I think about Papalymo, so on and so forth. So the style of this video is going to be very different. It's normally not a style that I typically do, but because the banner and everything is already out on both versions, I feel like it's probably just best for, at least for this video, maybe even potential future worldwide releases, if they do decide to do anymore, then I will probably stick to a similar setup for character releases like this for both versions of the game. So let me know down in the comment section below how you guys feel about Papalymo, whether you pulled for him or not, whether you just watch gameplay or just are going off of word, or just looking up the information on the Cydia Compendium, what you guys honestly think about Papalymo. It is a mix of different it's about a 50-50 between a lot of players for a good number of reasons, but we're gonna get into it towards the should you pull portion of the video. So let's go ahead and first start off with talking about his rework. So his skill 1 now deals 6 HP attacks with 50% splash after each HP attack, and inflicts the fire ice resist down debuff to all targets for 8 turns. His skill 2 now deals 12 HP attacks that increases Brave by 300% of own initial Brave in between HP attacks. His EX, whenever you are in his fire state, now deals an AoE full HP attack 8 times. Whenever you are in his ice state, then it is going to deal 12 HP attacks that increases Brave by 500% of own initial Brave in between HP attacks. His Foul command, which is his change HP command after you use his EX ability, now deals an AoE full HP attack 6 times. His LD now deals 14 HP attacks that recovers 20% Brave in between HP attacks. His Xenoglossy, which is his change Brave command whenever you have 1+ stacks, is active on his overhead, deals 10 HP attacks that recovers 30% Brave in between HP attacks. His FR, the conditions are a 40% increase whenever a teammate uses a magic ability, and a 40% increase whenever a teammate uses an ability with one element. His BT effect lasts for 10 turns and grants the following. It inflicts the gold frame debuff to all targets. Now this debuff makes it so that the enemies cannot act. It also has a built-in 20% HP damage resist down and a 10% additional damage on HP attacks. The party gains a 20% Brave gains up and HP damage up, 50% Brave damage up and Brave damage cap up, and a 30% HP damage cap up. Now, depending on what state Papalymo is in, whether he is in his Astral Fire state or Umbral Ice state, for his fire state, the party gets granted with Fire Enchant. They also are able to deal defense ignore Brave hits and an additional Brave hit on Brave hits. Now his Umbral Ice state, the party receives Ice Enchant, a 50% Brave increase on Brave hits and a Brave regen by 150% of caster's attack. Now let's talk about whether or not you should pull for Papalymo. Now let's go over some pros about him. His single target damage is very good. I highly doubt that players can really overlook the fact that his single target damage for his single target attacks are very high. I mean, like the highest that he has is 14 HP attacks on his LD ability, which is a very high amount of HP attacks. So you really cannot deny the fact that he definitely excels when it comes to single target damage. Now, he does have some turn control. I will give him that, even though we will get into, which I guess this is kind of like a split between a pro and a con for Papalymo, because like, yeah, you can have good turn control if you know the rotations correctly for Papalymo, which the rotations are not hard whatsoever to be able to meet. Also, crystal passives definitely help out with Papalymo because especially the U4 passive, which grants you that 20% chance to be able to activate your EX ability, it allows you to basically give you some more turn control while it is his turn. But there is a con to that, which we will get into here in just a bit. Now, his BT effect does offer a lot to the team. Aside from the normal party auras that we are used to with our characters nowadays, the fact that he has different ways to be able to benefit the party depending on what state he is going to be in. The fact that he provides defense ignore and being able to deal an additional brave hit whenever you are dealing brave attacks when his astral fire state is active is a nice pro. It really is. And even though defense ignore has not really been a thing as of late, it is still going to be, it's good to know that you have another option, or we have another option with a BT effect that provides defense ignore to the party, because the other BT effect that does this is lock. Now, when it comes to the additional brave hit, the only character that does provide that is Prish with her BT effect, if I'm correct on that. Yeah, I am actually. Because with her LD, it provides it to herself, but the BT effect spreads it out to the team. So yeah, it is a nice convenience to have with his BT effect on that state. But in my opinion, the Umbro Ice state is going to be the state that you are more than likely going to be using, especially if you're going to be taking advantage of the high amount of damage with his single target abilities, because he has some very strong Brave recovery in between his HP attacks, and then the Brave regen by 150% of the caster's attack is a good amount of Brave regen that he does offer. Also, we got to take a look at that gold frame paralysis debuff. So it lasts for 6 turns. It has that 20% HP damage resistance, so you're going to deal an additional 20% in damage, and it also allows everybody who attacks the enemy with this gold frame debuff to be able to deal an additional fixed 10% HP damage. Now, you have probably or may or may not have seen some of my runs that I have been uploading since yesterday, since my stream from yesterday, from the videos that I uploaded for my JP runs. You're gonna notice that myself and probably a couple other players have been pairing up Papalymo with characters that are able to grant additional fixed HP damage, whatever form that it is, right? So on global, currently right now, the characters that you, or the character really that you would want to attach or have Papalymo with is going to be Vice. If you want even more damage, then you can have Fujin on the team, and then Papalymo can easily go Bird during BT phase. On the JP side, we do have a few more characters than what Global currently has, but Zizat, which is the newest character we recently had on JP, with his BT effect that has a similar effect to Papalymo's, but it's just under a different condition. Having both of those two characters together with Vice, my additional HP damage was pretty freaking high. Like, I was easily dealing over 1,000,000, and then whenever I activated my crystal ability, which increases my stats by a crap ton, yeah, I was dishing out some very hefty damage overall with Papalymo. So there are ways to work around with Papalymo, but I do feel like with Papalymo, you pretty much have to build around the guy, whether it be around his BT effect, whether it be around the fact that he is a turn hogger. His FR, which I guess we'll go ahead and jump into the cons for Papalymo. His FR is slightly restricted because of the fact that you have to make sure that you pair him up with magical based units. The other thing is going to be with the elements thing. If the character already has elements in their kit, you're good to go. If you have to use call abilities, that will also work just fine. But I feel like because you are restricted with magical type units, it's probably in your best interest to actually use Papalymo with well-rounded FRs that will be able to that will allow you to easily meet the conditions regardless of the type of character that they are. So, for example, like Paladin Cecil would be one of them, because I know one of the conditions is going to be, what do you call it? No, actually, no, not even Paladin Cecil. Penelo. Penelo would actually be a really good option for Papalymo because of the fact that she practically makes it so that you meet all of the conditions. And there are other FRs that you can actually use with Papalymo, and you be good to go on that. But I do feel like his FR is slightly slightly restricted or picky. The other thing about his FR is that there is no HP cap increase, which is a bummer. I feel like that would have definitely helped out. Actually, no, I know it would have helped Papalymo's overall damage output, whether you are focusing on single target or AoE. I feel like them not including that in his FR does take a bit of a hit when it comes to whether you are wanting to pull for him or not. Now, his BT effect, I did mention that it does offer a lot, but there is another thing that I do want to add to a con to this, and it's the fact that Papalymo, yes, it does provide 30% cap increase to the party, but he didn't get any to himself. Now, I know not every character gets a self cap increase, but I feel like with Papalymo and with how high his damage output is, I feel like they should have at least included a cap increase, whether it had been on his BT effect, whether it was on his FR while his force time is active. I felt like they should have included a self HP cap increase to Papalymo, and I felt like I do feel like that would have honestly helped out his damage output so much better. Yes, we do have support characters that are able to grant HP cap increases, but we have some support characters that have their own HP cap increases. I mean, Fusoya just gained with his BT effect, gained a 50% HP damage cap increase. Why couldn't Papalymo? So I feel like that is a con that I feel like they really should have considered giving him in one of his two weapons. He is a turn hogger, and a lot of players are not too fans of that, which is understandable. Just based off of me using him in the numerous amounts of runs that I have done with Papalymo, I do feel like his turn hogging abilities can kind of get in the way a little bit. But again, it just depends on like the fight. It depends on like how your setup is currently, so on and so forth. So yeah, there is some benefits to the fact that he is a turn hogging unit, but there is a bit of there is some cons to it, especially if you are trying to build up the force gauge. You're trying to build up the HP damage bonus, that I do feel like it does get in the way a little bit when it comes to that specifically. So I do feel like there is some pros and some cons to that. His AoE damage, it's kind of meh. I mean, it really is. Like, we do have other units currently right now that deal very good, or if not very high AoE damage, and I do feel like because they gave, I do feel like with Papalymo, I noticed that they mostly focus on Papalymo's single target damage output compared to his AoE because of the fact that he is a turn hogging unit. So I do think that because of that, they decided to kind of like do some weird balancing between making him more of a single target DPS utility character than him being just like an overall DPS utility character. So in my opinion, is Papalymo a must pull? Honestly, I'm going to say no. He is not a must pull. We do have a very good amount of single target units. We do have a very good amount of AoE units that can excel to what Papalymo does. If Papalymo had HP cap increases in his BT effect or his FR, then I can see him definitely being like a very good chase. I'm not going to say that Papalymo is bad. He can definitely do some work. Like from the runs that I have done outside of what you guys have seen on the channel, like Papalymo can definitely dish out some very good numbers, but mostly those numbers are going to be single target based. But overall, I do think I do feel like they held back on Papalymo, and so like because of that and because of some of the other units that we currently have right now, even though there are differences between some of these other units compared to Papalymo in terms of like the fact that he has some utility now with that gold frame debuff compared to like, let's say, Lightning, for example, who is a single target beast because of the fact that she is able to constantly spam her EX ability. She's able to delay the enemies as well, but you can kind of see like there are differences between both characters and other characters as well. So Papalymo, I do not consider him to be a must pull. He is an optional DPS utility character. He is great to have, but I do not think that he is a must pull. So other than that though, guys, that's pretty much going to be it for the video. I feel like I covered everything that needs to be said about Papalymo. If there is anything that I am missing, I will go ahead and post it down in a pinned comment. But I am curious to know what you guys think overall on him, whether you think that he is chase worthy, whether you think that overall he's a fantastic character, whatever it is that you feel like you want to express yourselves down in the comments below, feel free to do so. And as always, if you guys do enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for future content. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.